Okay, so I have a Sultan. I have a Sultan. This is the Sultan. Um, this is the first board that me and Amos designed in the Downwind range about 2.5 years ago, and it was definitely a good start for the longer, narrower boards. But originally, when we first designed this, we thought 18, 19 inches was super narrow, but now it's down to 15. But yeah, if you're looking at wanting to get a longer board in the Amos range, I'd say start with the Sultan. It's more of a intermediate, beginner to intermediate board for downwinding. Reasons why is the flat bottom. Flat bottom will help you balance easier when you're trying to paddle up, so it will translate to more power through your paddles. There's nothing worse than not being able to balance and then only putting 70% of power into your paddle ups. So definitely recommend when you're first starting, go wider than you think and then a bit longer. And then that will help get up and foil. So like I see a lot of people kind of wanting to go more narrow because that's kind of the trend, but I'd recommend going inch wider than you actually think and 3-4 inches longer than you think as well. So yeah, the Sultan, great board for beginner intermediate, paddles well, planes well through the water, and the biggest thing is the stability of it. So yeah, and then the bottom of it, the contour of it is just like a slight V from say 2/3 up the board, and then down is quite flat on the bottom, which is good for stability. And then when I was standing on this board, the waterline was on that kind of that edge, so it wasn't too corky in the water. And then the tail, pretty good release. Like this board's more for stability and learning. To me, it was learning the fundamentals of downwinding, really. Yeah, so I weigh about 77 kilos to 80, so I go personally 30 litres plus my weight. So my board's now 105 to 107 litres, and if you're beginning or intermediate, go 40 litres plus your weight. Just foam's your friend. I've always stand by that motto. So yeah, there's nothing worse than having not enough litres. It's a nightmare. So foam's your friend, and yeah, go wider and a bit longer than you think. It's only going to help make the process easier. Yeah, so that's the Sultan. This is an old board of mine. This one's 7.0 by 18, 100 litres. If I was to get back on this, I'd go a 7.4, keep the width the same and make it 105, 107 litres. So good little reference point. So this is the Bullet. This is a board I designed with Amos about a year ago. And this is pretty much the board I've been riding, the designer board I've been riding the last year, obviously. I started on a 7.10, went up to an 8.4, and now I'm playing around with a 7.6. This is a 7.6. Yeah, so this board I designed for making it easy to paddle up smaller foils, and in those conditions where it's kind of marginal, it just gives you the confidence to paddle up kind of any foil you want. Also, I designed it for going down in foil sizes. So to me, this board planes a lot better than the Sultan, but it's more unstable. So I'd recommend more this board for the intermediate to advanced riders, purely because like the contour of it is rounded. So you're going to want to have more confident confidence balancing. But once you have that confidence and you can stand on your board without falling off or tipping over, when you put power into your paddles, this board is going to paddle a lot faster because the planing hull made like a really aggressive nose in it, so it releases, and that nose we designed is so actually when you're paddling through the water, it doesn't turn off, or so it just keeps paddling straight. Yeah, so to me, this isn't too unstable. We've been playing around with the width of the bottom, making like the wide point. So the wide point wider in here, so it actually helps with stability. We've had a few team riders, that was like a big focal point of actually this board. At the start it was pretty narrow here, but now we've widened it and it's a lot more stable. So yeah, you can paddle, put more power into your paddles, and it's easy to get up. Yeah, so the tail is a lot different to the Sultan. The reason why I did this is because there's so much tail behind you when you're standing up. Like I'm standing here, my back foot's there, so there's about, I don't know, 2.5 foot of board behind me, and we took that out so when you're actually pumping, that doesn't touch the water and create drag, which for me, I don't touch that often, only when it's like really marginal conditions and I'm like pretty much panic pumping the whole way. If you're looking at going from a intermediate board to an advanced board and you're looking at the bullet, I'd recommend going 4 to 6 inches longer, 1 inch to 2 inches narrower, and your volume you can keep the same or even drop down if you feel comfortable and more confident with paddling up. So cheers.